wash over us. We let it be. Sing along. We let love wash over us. We let it be. We let peace. We let peace wash over us. We let it be. We let health. We let health wash over us. We let it be. 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 Yeah, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be. We let light. We let light wash over us. We let it be. We let life. We let life wash over us. We let it be. Now let it be. 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 Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be. One more time. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Yeah, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be. One more time. We let love. We let love wash over us. We let it be. Happy Sunday, everybody. Good morning. You sound so beautiful.
Oregon. Sherry's, well, good. So anyway, turn to look at the camera and wave at Howard. Wish him a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Howard. Come down and visit. Let's drink some wine. Anyway, it's nice to have you guys all here this morning, and things are going on and things are happening. For those who were at the celebration of life for Admiral Bob yesterday, it was really quite a beautiful experience, and I know some of you watched it online as well. They are doing the full military honors internment tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock at National Cemetery of Riverside, but you really need to be there about 10:30, because I don't know if you've ever been to a memorial at any of the national cemeteries. They run those things like clockwork. So that's happening. And let's see what else is happening. We have a book study today after class with The Untethered Soul is happening. And
we have a music event coming up May 3rd.
That's right. We have a music event coming up May 3rd. That's very exciting. And the band is called?
Fairview Canyon.
Fairview Canyon.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
They actually, I have seen them. They are very good.
Very
They're
talented.
pretty remarkable. That would be a good one to tell your friends about. That's happening. So that's good. And let's see other things happening. Your class, Jim's class, yeah, Dow in the present moment is
Well-being in the Dow.
the well-being in the Dow. Thank you. It is amazing that anything comes out of my mouth coherent. Well-being in the Dow, and that's at 9 o'clock. Please do.
Yeah, so we have actually a couple of classes that are coming up the next 2 weeks that are going to be really interesting because they delve into the question about morality and how that plays out, as well as this idea of adapting to situations. So it's going to be a really interesting couple of classes. If you're interested in dropping in, we'd love to see you there.
Yeah, I want to make a comment because I was his main student this morning, and this guy is really good.
He is.
I'll tell you, I'm a news junkie, as you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to understand the reality that we live in today. And his class gives me a perspective on reality. And so if you have an opportunity to come at 9 o'clock in the morning, I invite everyone to really come to his class because this guy he's a master. He's a sensei.
All right. Let's see. So, our question of the day. Our question of the day actually comes from In the Nick of Time, Paul. Grab the mic from Mike. In the nick of time. So, good to have you here, buddy. So, the question of the day comes from a poem that I read this morning in one of the news feeds that I get, or it's blogs that I read of people. So this is from Marge Piercy. So here is the poem. For people like us, followed by forwarding addresses and dossiers and limping causes, it takes a crazy, despairing faith to plant a pine and a fir and a beech for somebody else's grandchildren, if there are any. So, I can share a little thought on a Sunday spring morning. So, here is the question. Is there something that ignites you, inspires you, causes you to believe in, that you are willing to invest in with perhaps, maybe not in your lifetime, seeing the results? Everybody get that? Okay. So let's start with our high mandarins here on the platform this morning. Jim, do you want to jump in? Oh, and by the way, rule is, make it me, make it I, make it about you, not someone else. How does it apply to you?
All right. I was, just as a quick note, the poem reminded me of a quote that is sometimes attributed to Martin Luther. When he was asked if he knew that the world was going to end tomorrow, what would he do? And he said he would plant a tree.
Yes.
So it's kind of, although they can't find that in anything he actually wrote, so who knows if he actually said it, but it's a fun quote.
We used to drink a bit too.
Yes. So for myself, keeping it personal, it's definitely kind of one of my mantras in life about anything that I do is thinking about it in those terms. Like, what if I'm not around to appreciate this or to receive it? Is it still something worth doing? And probably the most obvious answer for me anyway was having and raising kids. Because of course they're going to go on and who knows if I'm going to be here for, tomorrow for that matter. So that would definitely be one of the areas where I look at that in my life.
Yeah, for me, it a lot of my wonder and gratitude comes from understanding the reality around me and being in awe of the natural world around me. So the more information I get about the natural world, the more I feel a part of it. And so I think, for me, preserving and encouraging people to pay attention to reality and the scientific method and the wonder of the reality that we all share.
Andrea.
I was along the same lines, Jim. My daughter, Leah, was the one who came to me first in that regard. And then as I was driving here, a song came up on my station, and it made me ponder respect and reverence. So if I can hold an ideal of reverence for life and the beauty of nature, in my beingness and my recognition, perhaps that has an effect on my well-being, and just putting that out in the ethers in life.
Very good. Okay. Any takers? All right, there's one right there. All right, Liz.
Good morning. What immediately came to mind was, and it sounds self-serving, but it's really not. It's about, I believe that life is eternal, that the energy of soul goes on, whether it's reincarnation into a tree, I don't know, it could be a cloud. But I think of myself in changing, resetting some of my shadow work, because I don't want to take it with me if there is another life or reincarnation in this human form. I want to try to deal with it now and be the best that I can spiritually. So I think about that. What can I clean up so I don't have to take that with me and carry it with me? Thank you.
I think the whole world knows now that I'm a new grandma, and so excited about my grandson. And almost everything that I do in life, truly, almost everything I do, is with the thought of how to make this world a better place for my son and now for my grandson. And it'll be for their children also. I've been a student of A Course in Miracles since 1980, and the one thing that I really believe in is that peace is possible. And so, as much as I can, I promote peace.
Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, Mary D. in the back, and then Paul.
I don't know. For me, it's innate. It's the joy within me, and always wanting to do the best that I can do. I don't have to have a reason, but each day as I put a foot forward and I do my very best and I have the intention going, I feel better and more connected. So there doesn't have to be, for me, an alternate reason.
Beautiful. Good enough. All right. And Paul.
Yeah, I ran by a cool saying. It goes, take play seriously, be serious about being playful, and be playful about being serious.
Very good. I love that. Being playful about being serious. Yeah. There's that line that says that if what is it? Something about if you're not laughing, you're not taking things seriously enough, or something like that. Anyway, I'm not going to go where that one is. Okay, with that.
I shall begin?
You shall begin.
Okay. So we shall start this, continue this morning with an invocation and a blessing and a prayer. I so am grateful for all of you being here. Nice to see some people coming back around. We missed you when you're not here. So thank you for showing up. And my name is Andrea, so I will start this way. I will offer this to you, that you are comfortable in your body right now, and you allow yourself to settle in your seat. That anything you came with, whether it be a lot of thoughts or even the thought of the question, what would I answer? What would I leave? What is my legacy? And it could be so simple as I love to trim roses, and my gift was the love I brought into my garden. And so the garden of life, the beloved of life itself, the beauty and all that is, and all that I am becoming, and all that we are becoming. And to the service here of the power of this truth, the spoken word as it is through Rev Guy, and the spoken word through song and juicy music as it is through Lee and Jim, and the beauty of who it is that we are in the collective sphere of consciousness as Hilltop Spiritual Center. I say yes to all of it, all that has been and all that is becoming. And so we are here, back in this space with an open heart.
ocean, but you're so hot that I melted. I fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back before the cool night run out. I've been giving it my bestest, and nothing's gonna stop me but divine intervention. I reckon it's again my time. The wind song, a learned song, but I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours. La la la. Yeah, yeah. Open up your mind and see like me. Open up your plans and then you're free. Look into your heart and you find love, 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 love. Listen to the music of the moment, people dance and sing. We're just one big family, and this our God-forsaken right to be loved, love, 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 love. So I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm sure that there's no need to complicate. Our time is short. This is our fate. I'm yours. But I've been spinning way too long, checking my tongue in the mirror, bending over backwards just to try to see it clearer, but my breath fogged up the glass. So I drew a new face and I lied. I guess what I was saying is there ain't no better reason to read yourself of vanity. Just go with the season. It's why we aim to do. Our name is our virtue, but I won't hesitate no more, no more. It cannot wait. I'm yours. There's no need to complicate. Our time is short. This is our fate. I'm yours. Well, open up your mind, see like me. Open up your plans and then you're free. Look into your heart and you find the sky is yours. No, please don't, please don't, please don't. There's no need to complicate, 'cause our time is short. This is our fate. I'm yours. For Brooks Jason Mraz. Please welcome our Reverend Dr. Guy Williams.
That is so funny, Lee. I was listening to a Jason Mraz song coming over here today, and I was thinking, I wonder if Lee ever covers for Jason Mraz. And apparently you do. Fabulous, good to know. So here we are in spring. It's, and you know, isn't it interesting how it just kind of exploded this week, right? I mean, it was like raining and cold, and all of a sudden it's just like knock your socks off, gorgeous. We have this tree in our front yard, and this feels really loud. We have this tree in our yard, and what I love about this tree is it's one of those trees, what do you call those, deciduous trees, where they lose their leaves and get their leaves, and so you can kind of mark time by watching this particular tree, or the other trees in the neighborhood, but this one for us in particular. And those that know me well know that I'm kind of a student of times and seasons and years and cycles and what they look like and how we live in this rhythmic world. Better? Thank you. We live in this rhythmic world. And you know, there's something about light that the ancients saw this time of year. You know, spring, the equinox that we just had the other day, is sort of the resurgence, the coming again of light. And you know, there's kind of an energy that extends out. You can kind of see it in the garden. You can see it kind of in animals and life and nature and all that's there. This seems really loud. It's distracting me. Oh, okay. Oh. Okay. Okay. Turn it down. Thank you. So anyway, I'll gather my thought here. So yes. So the thought that I had was this. As I kind of journal the year and just kind of understanding the energy of this time of year, the question comes up is, who have I come to be in this life? And am I living that purpose? Am I living this sense of who it is that I've come to be? So I started thinking about that as I was journaling, and I started thinking, you know, one of the first things that I'm really aware of, for me personally, is I've not really suffered in this life. I mean, when I think, it doesn't mean that I haven't experienced loss or grief or sadness, but you know, I have been remarkably blessed. I've never had a major disease. I live in a place that is relatively safe. I live at a level of affluence that is probably not experienced by most people on the planet. And if I was just to sort of chart where I am, who I am, the time and space that I live in, it's pretty remarkable. And certainly not, I wouldn't say undeserving, but I am living this life not necessarily by merit, than by fortune. And so I thought, what is the first thing about me that I should be living? And what it came to me is absolutely a life of gratitude, of living that experience of being grateful for this thing called life, what that looks like, what that feels like, what this experience is. I always go back to this line from, the Sirens of Titan, Kurt Vonnegut, where he says, you know, we are the mud that gets to get up and look around. Lucky us, lucky mud. You know, I don't know why it is that you and I are sitting in this room at the level that we are in. But what I do know is that all of us are at some level grateful. And I started thinking about that as far as what we as a denomination teach and what brought me into this teaching. What was it that excited me the most? And I would have to say that when I first came into New Thought back in the 90s, what inspired me most was how familiar it was with the American Transcendentalists, particularly Ralph Waldo Emerson. You know, that line from Self-Reliance where he says that nothing in the end really matters, something to the effect that nothing in the end really matters but the integrity of our own mind. And that sense of who I am in the world. But Transcendentalism itself, you know, it sparked such a rich period of Ambrose Pierce, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Walt Whitman, Herman Melville, Louisa May Alcott, this huge renaissance of American literature was just, you know, to me, it just got me really excited. And the precepts of Transcendentalism is something that I really resonate with. The ideas that, you know, what Transcendentalism as a philosophy espouses is the essential unity of all creation. I mean, I can get behind that, right? Because that marries everything that I understand as far as science, as far as spirituality, where I sit with my lens of how I see the universe, this idea that everything is interconnected to everything else and nothing is separate from anything makes sense to me. It inspires me. It's something that I really want to get behind. Another precept of transcendentalism, one that is a work in progress for me, is the innate goodness of all humanity. I'm working on that one. You know, there's something that the Thich Nhat Hanh says. You know, he says that the only people that cause suffering are people who suffer. And so our right response to them is kindness, is to pray for them. And you know, I see that as an ideal. It's something that I aspire to. I correct myself when I don't. But I try to use that as a guiding light. The other thing that it says is that transcendentalism sort of sees the supremacy of insight over logic. Don't you love that? That insight is more important than logic. And to go with that is that the way that we experience the greater truths of life are through personal experience. So this idea that the unity of spirit, the innate goodness of things, you know, that insight, intuition balances or works with logic, and that at the end of the day, the most important revelation that can occur to us is our own experience. So this, I think, is kind of where we go. And, you know, New Thought grew out of that. And when I read the early writers and teach in the School of Ministry, the early writers of New Thought, I'm always inspired by what an interesting crew they are. But, you know, every institution in time sort of goes through this thing where the institution exists for the sake of the institution. It loses its agility. It loses its teachability. It becomes more enamored with what it is as opposed to what it is becoming. Kind of like me, maybe even like you. And I ran across this quote the other day from a guy that I really like who is a New Thought practitioner, and he's a writer and he's an historian. His name is Mitch Horowitz. And he says this. He says, in a sense, our problem, and he's speaking of New Thought here, he says, in a sense, our problem arises from the mind power movement's tendency to see reality as subject to a single law with its absolute powers of cause and effect. And then he goes on, he says, unlike the transcendentalists who studied the cycles of nature, the teachers of New Thought made no allowance for the inevitability of night following day. They made no room for the balance of life and death, illness and health that Emerson depicted in his essays, which many New Thoughters call their inspiration. Diverging from transcendentalism, New Thought viewed life as a subject to a single principle and ignored the prospect of multiple laws and forces. Okay, without getting to galaxy brain, what I want to just offer is that a challenge that we have as New Thought practitioners is to be very wary that we can get stuck in some ways and lose our teachability, lose our curiosity. Because in some ways, you know, it's been a personal struggle for me, because there's interesting things about what New Thought. Now, you know, one of the principles of New Thought that I absolutely adhere to is this, is thoughts are causative. That is absolutely true. And that we can affirm and that we can visualize, and that the creative mind working in conjunction with the subjective mind is amazingly powerful. And the things that we can manifest are rich and powerful and good. And life is not black and white, because the power of the capacity to manifest is a powerful thing. The danger of it is that we begin to rely strictly on ourself and what we can do and what we can't do. And so when something happens to us, it's just Calvinism with a new drag, right? It's, I must be doing something wrong. Something's not happening. My thoughts must not be strong enough. Whatever the case may be, it's just one more reason for us to make ourselves wrong. And so, you know, what is the balance to that? So the tension to me is this, is how does one balance this idea of being able to manifest with something that the mystics have been teaching since forever, which is to surrender, to let go, to allow yourself to be guided by a power that is greater than yourself. Do you see? So, you know, the beauty of spirituality of any form or another is what the transcendentalists say. You know, it's intuition over logic. Because you look at those two things and you think, oh my goodness gracious, they seem counterbalanced to each other. But in them is this idea that I can be led, I can be guided, that there is a power greater than myself that I am connected to that is luring me. And sometimes the most courageous thing I can do is to surrender. And surrender does not mean capitulate. Surrender means to take refuge in. Do you see the difference? Because one, we give up our power. And the other one, we align our power with a wisdom or a guidance that is wanting to bring us there. And where I am with this thought, where I am with this talk, where I am with this life that I'm living today is how do I live in this world that we're in, living my purpose, which all of us are called to do, and using the courage to call forth that which yearns in me for expression, and to realize that ultimately I am guided by a force and a power that loves me and desires my highest good. There's a shadow of new thought that I think it's important for us to be aware of. There was a student of Ernest Holmes by the name of Norman Vincent Peale. Does that ring a bell to anybody? Back in the 50s and 60s? The power of positive thinking. If ever there was a charlatan, God bless him, Norman Vincent Peale was him. And what Norman Vincent Peale says, in one of his more honest moments, was, I got what I learned about this from Ernest Holmes. Now, what's interesting is the leader of our present regime was a student of Norman Vincent Peale. He is a practitioner of new thought. How I can manifest. Look what I can do. See what is there for me. But what it lacks is the foundation of being guided by something. What it lacks is something that is powerful that new thought doesn't necessarily teach us, and that is empathy, compassion, or what Tolkien would call pity. And I want to use Tolkien's definition of pity, and you know, Tolkien wrote in English, the British English, a while ago, and pity for him would probably be more what we would use for compassion or empathy. And so what he defined it in his letters, writing on Lord of the Rings, is because the Lord of the Rings, of course, you know, my sacred scripture, is all based, it turns on pity or compassion. And he says, pity, a deep benevolent compassion, such as one person might feel for the suffering of another, whether that suffering seems deserved or not. Whether that suffering seems deserved or not. Now, what this does to me is this challenges me to kind of go deeper. Where do I find a place of compassion, of reconciliation, of healing, of pity, if you will? That sense, and how do I blend that with my power to manifest? We asked that question at the earlier part. And what I want to offer is, spoiler alert here, or trigger alert, I'm going to get all Jesus on you here for a second. Not only that, I'm going to get Old Testament Jesus on you for a second. Because what I want to offer is how easy it is for our mind to be conditioned. So the world that we live in today, that creates the regime that is guiding us into this world today and into the future, is one that sees weakness in compassion and empathy and pity. But it sees the expediency of the moment and the profitability of anything. It's called empire. It's not brand new. It's not even trite. It is the same old story. It is that timeless viral infection of empire or globalism, or call it whatever you want. This is just another iteration of it. And what mystics have been teaching us since time immemorial, it is incumbent upon us on our spiritual journey to live and work against it. And I want to tell a story that comes from the Gospel of Luke, because I think it's really salient to the moment and to what I've been saying before. And so in the Gospel of Luke, there's a story that says, there's a lot of these stories that are attributed to Jesus that really what you see is this incredible teacher is basically doing riffs on the Jerusalem Times. He's taking current issues that are being thrown at him and responding to them accordingly. So in this gospel, it says this. He says, at the very time that there were some present who told Jesus about the Galileans whose blood Pilate had mingled with their sacrifices. What he's talking about here is that there was a pilgrimage of 18 Galileans that went to the temple, and they were there to protest something that Rome was doing. And Pilate, and remember, you don't read the Gospels without thinking first of empire and the three villains, Caesar, Pilate, and Herod. And so Pilate massacres these 18 Galileans who were basically protesting, and their blood, it is said, probably mingled with the sacrificial blood, or whatever the case may be. In other words, it was an anathema of what had happened, because they were murdered, they were executed in the temple grounds. And so this is what the people are telling Jesus. They said, whose blood Pilate had mingled with their sacrifices. And Jesus asked them, do you think that because these Galileans suffered in the way that they were worse sinners than any other Galileans? No. In other words, when you see these people suffering, do you think that's because they're that bad or they're the ones that created this? How many times in New Thought have you heard, I have experienced, that if something is going on, well, it must be because there's an error in your thinking. Oh my goodness gracious, when I first started New Thought, I went to old school New Thought, man. If you showed up with a cold, well, what's in your consciousness? If you're not manifesting, princes parking places and palaces, if you're not driving a Beamer and wearing an Armani suit, what is wrong with your consciousness? It's the same kind of thing, because we're always looking to try to blame people or blame somebody or something when something goes awry. Well, they must have done something wrong, those Galileans, to have this kind of thing happen to them. What if not? What if it was the power of Rome? And then it goes on. Do you think that they're worse offenders than any of the others living in Jerusalem? No, I tell you, this is where these Galileans, no, I tell blah, 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 blah. Or those 18 who were killed when the Tower of Siloam fell on them. Do you think they were worse offenders than any others living in Jerusalem? No, I tell you. But unless you repent, you will perish as they did. So here's where I want to play. Because when we hear these things, we think what Jesus is saying is, you better not pout, you better not cry, you better not, blah, 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 because, you're going to get punished if you do. And it isn't the case at all. There was an aqueduct that Pilate was building, and it fell down, and it killed 18 people. That was it. Now, were those 18 people worse than anybody else in Jerusalem? Did they deserve that death than anybody else? No. Man, sometimes stuff happens. We live in an unfinished, and by virtue of the fact that it is unfinished, imperfect universe. And sometimes things happen. Sometimes there's an earthquake. And nobody's consciousness created it, and certainly no loving God decided to push a boulder to make someone else's life miserable. So then he tells this story. Are you guys with me, by the way? Excuse me for nerding out today, but I'm just in that kind of mood. So then he says, then he told him a parable. Now listen to this parable, and listen where your mind goes and how you are telling this parable in your head. Then he told them a parable. A man had a big fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came looking for fruit on it and found none. So he said to the gardener, "See here, for these 3 years I have come looking for fruit on this fig tree, and still I find none. Cut it down. Why should I be wasting the soil?" And the gardener replied, "Sir, let it alone for 1 more year, until I dig around it and put manure on it. And if it bears fruit next year, well and good. But if not, you can cut it down." So what are your thoughts? How many people think the man that owns the vineyard is God? Nobody? Good. Because when I first heard that, that's what I thought. This is God, and he's coming, and he's going to, they're not bearing fruit, they're not being productive, they're not doing this, and so therefore, off with their heads. And Jesus is saying, no, Master, let me be good to them. Let me nurture them. Let me do this. And if they still are, being jerks at the end of the year, you can cut them down. But that's not what the story is saying at all. And to the audience that Jesus is speaking to, they would know that. Because just like you, I know what you're thinking at this very moment. In ancient Judaism, by Levitic law, trees have rights. Trees have rights. It's right there in the book of Leviticus. When you come into the land and plant all kinds of trees for food, then you shall regard them and their fruit as forbidden. For 3 years it shall be forbidden to you. It must not be eaten in the 4th year. All their fruit shall be set apart for rejoicing in the Lord. But in the 5th year you may eat the fruit, and their yield many be increased for you. So, in the Levitic code, which every Jew that heard Jesus' parable would have known, is that God would never cut down a tree that is 3 years old and not bearing fruit. It would be against the very nature of who God is, And what we already know about this God from other stories and legends and myths is that the God who covenants is bound by his covenants. The God who enters into relationship is bound by the protocols of relationships and is not one that can act arbitrarily. And so what kind of God would do something that would break the rules of its own statements, or what kind of God would do something like this? That would be the God that you would report to protective services. But that's not the case, because who Jesus is talking about here is not God, but Caesar. Globalism. The spirit of profiteering off of anything that holds some kind of value. The story could easily be said that a king came and took possession of a land and saw a vineyard full of trees that were young and said, you know, they're not going to produce what I want right now in the moment. What I need is more cash, so cut these down and plant something else. But rather, the gardener says, no, let it be. It takes time. It takes time to grow these things. It takes time for things to come into maturity. It takes time, and it's not about the instant gratification of the moment and what I can profitize off of in the moment, but what I cultivate that has value, that endures, that takes patience and commitment and love and honor and reverence. Because this is the vision that Jesus held. He was always the counterpart to the madness that we continue to invite in on ourselves as civilization. He was always one who saw the unity of all creation interconnected, and that there is a way of living in harmony and in balance with all things. He always saw the innate goodness in all people. He always saw that things led by Spirit may not necessarily seem logistical in the moment, but if one allows himself the experience, one can find the greater truth. And so I think, always when we read a story from whatever tradition it may come, we ask ourselves the question, not did it happen or how did it happen, but what does it mean? And then more specifically, what does it mean for me? Because I think the message of this story is timeless, because it is one that says we should live courageously in the face of empire. And the word repent, metanoia, means change direction. If you are participating in an extraction economy, the extraction economy will eventually devour you. If you are living by the ways of this world will eventually get you. What Jesus taught, what the mystics taught, is there is a way to live in this world, but not be bound by the madness of the world. And that way is through compassion, empathy, pity. And the first place we practice this is with ourselves. So I've been reading this book by this guy, Dave Rubin. You know who he is? He's a musician, whatever. Maybe I told this story before. Okay, I'll tell the story now. If I did, humor me. So I was listening to an interview of him, and he was talking about his own, what he does at the gym and where he is and his own spiritual practice. And one of the things that he says is that he practices something called the metta prayer. We've done it here a dozen times. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. And he says, the way to practice this prayer, because then you go, may we be filled, may this person be filled with loving kindness, may they be well, may they be happy, on and on and on. And then may we be filled with loving kindness, may we be happy, and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. He says, no. He says, what you do is you practice this prayer for a year. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. Because it takes a year to recondition our mind, to actually engage in the sense of compassion and empathy and pity for ourselves. What Dr. Holmes says is we see the condition on the outside and we heal it on the inside. How we change the world is by changing ourselves. And how we change ourselves is through patience. A tree doesn't bear fruit in the first 3 years. It's nurtured. The first year of our spiritual practice is, may I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. The first rule, or the first thought of us, in order for us to live with this sense of being connected to all things, is to be connected to ourself. And that, my friend, takes courage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rev. I've got a song that fits perfectly that I wrote about finding courage in the surrendering of the unknown. It's called Sweet Uncertainty. Oh, it's been a day, it's kind of been that way, so I came to play sweet uncertainty. Time to leave behind, oh my troubled mind, who knows what I'll find, sweet uncertainty. Then you're next to me, I hear that melody, oh that energy, sweet uncertainty. Let the rhythm take you, oh I wanna make you when you're next to me, sweet uncertainty. Teach me, picture perfect bliss, wish I could dream like this, an endless summer's kiss, sweet uncertainty. All the time you burn for the pain unearned, all the lessons learned, sweet uncertainty. Then you're next to me, I hear that melody, oh that energy, sweet uncertainty. Let the rhythm take you, oh I wanna make you when you're next to me, sweet uncertainty. Teach me, all there ever was, all there'll ever be, only was because sweet uncertainty. Every life on earth, every galaxy, all the universe, sweet uncertainty. Then you're next to me, I hear that melody, oh that energy, sweet uncertainty. Let the rhythm take you, oh I wanna make you when you're next to me, sweet uncertainty. Teach me, oh, it's been a day, it's kind of been that way, so I came to play sweet uncertainty. Time I leave behind on my troubled mind, who knows what I'll find. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rev, for that inspiring conversation, that inspiring inspiration. And to Lee and Jim, thank you so much. So this is our time for conscious giving. And I would offer that there is merit in compassion and empathy and in giving. I would offer that as we give from our heart and as we set our intention to be a good person, to be kind and loving as best I can, to give freely and openly with my heart as I give, I believe that there is merit in that. And it creates truly this more loving and peaceful world with one little act of kindness. So when we see your donations that come in, we are so grateful. It is taken to heart. we feel the love and the givingness of every dollar and hundreds of dollars, and somebody walks up to us and, I want to give. And what do you think? And we're just always so grateful. So would you know that with me, how grateful we are for all that you do for Hilltop and all that you give. And when you offer it, it really touches our hearts. So thank you so much for giving. We hold it to our heart. We know that it is the gift that never stops giving. It'll continue moving through me as I give it forth, and you.
Thank you.
So again, thank you all for being here today. I want to thank Jim and Lee for our music this morning. Thank you so much. And for Mike and Steve there on the sound, making things work very well. Thank you guys so much. And Bob and Matt were greeters this morning. Great for that. I know Ann and Kurt and Deanna are in the kitchen making wonderful food for us, so bless them. And anybody else and everyone else. I see Noreen and Sherry there who hold the gift store. There's some good stuff. There's a sale going on in there, yes?
Yeah, there's selected items 20% off.
Cool. So check that out. Also, Andrea, for all that she does, and she is also going to be leading a prayer circle about 10 minutes after service in the Emerson room. So just if you'd like personal prayer, you can see her, and she'll be happy to pray with you. If you'd like other prayer, there are other practitioners here. Liz is here. Paul is here. Do I see anybody else here? Nope. Anyway, you can talk to one of them. They'll pray for you. Or you can fill out prayer requests. We get together every Friday morning, and we pray for our other requests, so that comes down as well. I think that's it. Again, thanks for being here. Oh, there is food out there. There are musicians here. Wait for the musicians here to be at the food table there before you serve yourself.
Hey, you guys, you're on.
Yeah.
Pressure's on.
Yeah. They have given a lot, so let's let them get to the front of the line. So, with that, we just give thanks. We give thanks for this day, for this opportunity to be together. May each and every one of us be filled with loving kindness. May we all be well. May we all be peaceful and at ease. May we all be happy. And may this day be filled with surprise, amazement, and wonder, reminding us that there is a power greater than us that works through us to manifest our heart's desires and invites us to be guided to a place of joy magnificent, beyond our own comprehension. And so we give thanks. We let it be. And so it is. So it is.
It's not clear, but I'm just like you. I've been over here pointing fingers too. But if you want change, you gotta do what's good. You gotta carry that water, chop that wood. If you want change, you gotta do what you order. Chop that wood and carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you order. Chop that wood and carry that water. Oh yeah. Everything I do is part of this earth. Step by step I'm gonna add some worth. We could feel afraid but you can't deny it. We feel at ease when we help each other try it. If you want change you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood and carry that water. If you want change you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood and carry that water. Yeah. Because we're all together. Because we're all together. Yes, we are, Walter. I said we're all together. It may be cheesy, but it's true. I said it's all together. Yes, we are. Because we're all together. We should get together and sing these songs, but it's gonna take more to right these wrongs. I'm gonna know my history, I'm gonna do someone a favor, treat myself better and trust my neighbor. If you want change, you gotta do what you ought to, chop that wood and carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you ought to, chop that wood and carry that water. Yes, we do. Because we're all together, no matter where you're coming from, we're all together. Singing on a Sunday, I said we're all together. Don't you forget it now, I said we're all together. Happy Sunday, everybody. Much love. Thanks, Jim Jones. Let's eat. Let's eat.